good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are in the world, and welcome to Rush Racing North America EU Division 2. Earlier in the race we had, or earlier in the stream I should say, we had the Division 1 race earlier today, and now we are here for the Division 2 race. We did have a little bit of issues setting up the stream, or not setting up the stream, but setting up the lobby. That we got word that PlayStation is currently down, and that is really unfortunate. So we weren't able to have a ton of the other drivers that were going to be here to race. Very unfortunate, but we do still have 13 drivers that are here and ready to go. I am your host, GameHawk, and alongside me is my co-commentator, Wildcat. How are you doing?
I'm here. I'm alive. Another day, I guess. It's ready to see. Hopefully, Div2 can put on a better show than I did in Div1.
Honestly, I kind of feel the same sympathy, or not sympathy, what would be the word? The same feeling for you, because I've had a very long week and I'm very tired. So I understand just kind of existing, but I do agree with you that I am excited to see what Division 2 is going to be. And I'm kind of curious because I was kind of wondering going into Division 1 if we were going to go back and see the craziness that we saw like in Baku. No, we didn't. This is the second race in a row that we actually didn't see a single safety car in the entire race. And but for Division 2 in Austria, we had three or we had three safety cars in Austria for Division 2. So we saw kind of a flip, but at the same time, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's going to continue here?
I mean, Spain, it's a proper racetrack, honestly. So, I mean, and you've got a lot of racing room through corners. You can go. Spain gives you that room where you can go 2 to 3 wide in certain corners. So, I mean, it and I mean, these guys in Div2, they're aggressive, but they're a bit conservative when they know they need to be, so they don't kind of just keep trying to force an issue that isn't going to work right at that moment. So I mean, honestly, I don't think we'll see a safety car here in Spain. Although I mean, in Div 1, I was a bit in my mind crying and screaming for one at one point because, dear Lord, Spain it's a track where consistency pays off, and tire management is the name of the game because the left side, the front and the rear left, are going to be absolutely screaming by the end of a lap and 12. So trying to manage that over an entire race stint, it's not exactly the easiest thing for any driver, honestly. So strategy is also going to be key, and I'm interested to see if anybody's going to be possibly keen to maybe try for the gutsy one stop, or possibly go for the harder tire compounds and stay away from the soft tire.
Yeah, I am also very curious about that. And personally, for me, it's kind of it's a weird mix because I actually really love Spain. I love the track layout, and I think that is a lot of fun. But I do agree that it is very hard to tire manage, and that is one thing that I am horrendous at in this game. That a lot of my setups are very, very aggressive, and that means that my tires burn up faster, and that usually doesn't bode well for tracks like this. So I am also curious to see. We did see a lot of drivers take the one stop, but I think they took the one stop not because that was their original plan, but I think it just kind of happened. Because I mean, for example, I think the furthest we saw someone take the mediums was I think a max of 14 laps, and at the very end, Tiffany took the Tupany. I mixed up all the names, but he took the mediums. I think 15 laps to the end,
Ooh.
and then the other hards, like the two Alpines, took the hards. I don't know how many laps. They took it almost a total of 20 laps. So I'm curious to see what happened. or what happens?
Um, yeah, and as you were talking here, N guy had a bit of an a bit of a moment and killed one of the braking marker boards and also killed his front wing through what was that, turn three? Yeah, he was on turn three exit or turn four exit, I'm sorry. And just absolutely just the rear end just completely stepped out and came right around on him. However, I mean, this is, he does have time in qualifying to get back to the pits, get repairs done, and be able to get back to trying to set a better lap. But he did get a lap on the board before that had happened, and he's on the medium tire, so I don't think he's actually too hard pressed about it as he's, kind of using off track, space to make his way back and not interrupt anyone.
Yeah, and actually that could have been a problem. He almost interrupted Tinzo, but he was able to stay out of the way because Tinzo sets the provisional pole. And I don't know if we necessarily mentioned it at the beginning, but because we have a shorter amount of drivers, we are only doing a short qualifying. So we have 11 minutes to go here in short qualifying. Division 1 did full qualifying, and they had a total of 17 drivers, I believe. So won't be able to do the full qualifying, but we will still get qualifying. And I agree, you don't want to see anything like that happen, but Nengai definitely has time enough to be able to pit in, get new tires, and to set that new front wing in and get right back out there. And I am kind of curious. I think, in my opinion, I really feel like Sector 2 here in Spain is kind of the make or break for a lot of
Whoa.
drivers. I believe we had a
And
moment.
we have, yeah, Mr. Koopa's off track mid corner of turn four, absolutely just sends it and somehow gets it sideways to the barriers to avoid any terminal damage. So he's definitely going to have to come back into the pits to get a new front wing as he's missing the left side end plate.
So already, I mean, a little bit of chaos going on here in qualifying, I guess. But I mean, if they want to be aggressive, and I mean, he did end up saving it, and he's going to be able to get back to the pits, then he's able to get another lap in. So, I mean, it kind of worked out, I guess you could say. It semi worked out.
It worked out, but I mean, I'm honestly impressed at the skill between him and N guy in the same corner to have an issue that resulted in major car damage as he kills the marker board, the speed limit marker board in the pit lane. Not sure what happened there, but I'm a little bit impressed of the skill of these guys to actually be able to take put the car in a position to take the impact of the wall and not be out of qualifying completely.
Yeah, and actually right now both Gianni and Suspension have actually retired, and they have not actually set a lap quite yet. I am actually kind of curious to see. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up the standings, which I already know that Division 1 actually got much closer today because some of the top drivers who hadn't performed up to their standard, and that was not even my words, that was something that Vide had even said, as Nishka is actually going to go ahead and take over a provisional pole for right now. But here, looking at Division 2, the current standings right now, I mean, Harold is by far right now the favorite to win the championship, as he leads with 133 points. Nishka is in second place with 87 points. Barry has 85 points, which unfortunately because of the PlayStation issues, he cannot be here. Steven Sedgwick, or Sed, is in fourth place with 73 points. And then Bruiser, who also cannot be here, is in fifth place with 69 points. So, I mean, right now, this championship is in Harold's grasp, but I would be kind of curious about Nishka and Sed if I was him.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking here. We have Suspension, who has a qualifying ban for today, which is why he actually is retired. Gianni has a
Oh.
qualifying ban, and Rare Ghost also with a qualifying ban today. So those three will not take part in qualifying and will pretty much have to start at the back. And Suspension also has a 15-second time penalty that will be stapled onto his ending race time, as well as Wilco, who has a 10-second time penalty coming at the end of his race time. So these guys have a lot. They basically have a mountain to climb. So that could make the race quite interesting if they get aggressive off the start, trying to overcome the obstacles that they've kind of encountered beforehand.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Actually, one funny thing that I would be interested to see, both Gianni and Suspension retired. Suspension retired first, so he is currently P13. Gianni retired second, so he's in P12. And actually, Tenzo actually goes ahead and sets a new fastest lap there, as now he takes over provisional pole. I would be kind of curious to see if Rare Ghost is just gonna sit there and just wait, or if he's gonna also just go ahead and retire. But that is very interesting. Yeah, and I agree that is going to be a absolute mountain to try and climb. I mean, kind of what the hole they're dug in. But I mean, who knows? We can see what's going. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in these races anyway? I mean, come on.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, due to the issues with PlayStation, I mean, it kind of honestly, it somehow it's played to a point in favor of Aston Martin when you think about it, and the Red Bull team, because McLaren is missing Barry due to PlayStation's issues, and then also John DT is missing from the Williams team, which is not fielding today. And then you also have Verstappen, so that's a Haas that's also out the running today. And with the constructors situation, Aston Martin leads it with 174, with McLaren behind at 148 and Red Bull at 141. And then you also have Racing Bulls that's still in the conversation at 140. So I mean, it's quite an interesting day here, honestly.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see because I mean, with the drivers' championship, I think that basically if anything happens to Harold, where he either doesn't finish or doesn't claim points, then we could see some drivers start to get into the mix. But for constructors, it's realistically all there because, and especially we're talking about that Gianni has a qualifying ban, so Gianni is going to be starting in the back. So pretty much in terms of team points, it's going to be resting on Harold's shoulders for just Aston Martin as the team, and even for McLaren, it's going to be resting on Tenzo to perform. But I mean, it is up in the air to see which one of these teams is going to perform better. And I think that out of all these, Red Bull has the best chance. I mean, just not only from being able to field two cars, but right now they're actually doing really well with Nishka in P3 and Dilby in P7.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is going to be, I feel like this might be quite the interesting race. I mean, the gap to the top three, honestly, is it's close. It's within a half a second. And I mean, these guys could say one thing in qualifying, but as we know and have seen all season, the race pace can be quite a different thing. Some people tend to bring out better race pace than they do qualifying and vice versa. So, I mean, the order could be completely shaken up by the time we get to the end of lap one, honestly. So it's going to be I'm looking to see who actually has it really dialed in. Going to be, for the lack of a better word, who's going to be Mr. Consistent today?
Yeah, and I mean consistency has been one of the main things that we've looked at through this entire season, and I think you could even see it in Division One. And I mean, uh, Toop, who won the race, I mean, through qualifying and through the race, he was consistently the fastest driver, and he was the one of the cleanest as well. So I'm curious to see, like what you said, I'm curious to see that which one of these Division 2 drivers are going to stand out, and we can see which drivers will be the most consistent to ultimately get the best result, but ultimately you do want to win the race. So it it's kind of intriguing. It's intriguing to see how it's all going to go, and that's kind of the beauty of these races and seeing how it all unfolds over the course of a season.
Oh, absolutely. And the no division honestly has disappointed in the battles that we've seen. And I mean, to a point, Division One going into the season, some thought that it was that the driver's side of it was going to be pretty much lock, stock, and pretty much just sealed up. But as we've seen, it is anything but that. As we've got what, 4 or 5 drivers that are in contention that could still possibly win. So it's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think we actually, in terms of like preseason predictions, I think it was kind of the opposite. I think with the Division One, we thought it was going to be the drivers were secured, like we all knew who was going to win, and then the constructors, was going to be the interesting part. But that, in reality, that's what Division 2 is. And we thought Division 2 was going to be all about who's going to win the championship, and then maybe one team was going to dominate in the constructors. So already, I mean, these two divisions have definitely not disappointed. And I'm curious, and I mean, talk about not disappointing. So far, these drivers have definitely not disappointed here in qualifying, especially looking at the top 3 there of Tinzo, said Nishka, and Dilby. Dilby improved his time as well. So far, these drivers are doing really, really well, and I'm curious to see how it's going to go. And you can see now, as qualifying ends, this is going to be the driver's last chance.
Absolutely. And I mean, Nishka's trying to lay down a statement at this point. He's trying to make sure that he's somewhere close to that front because as we've seen, Nishka does tend to have quite the qualifying pace as he does go set P2 and is only 6 thousandths of a second off of Tenzo. So Nishka's looking to try and possibly be a problem here today. And as we know, Nishka tends to his race pace is he is one that does have very solid race pace. And given the right conditions, he's very consistent. And we saw in past races where he was actually up there contending for it, and he actually has pulled off a win so far this season as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if Harold can actually lay down, can actually get himself up into this fight as the race starts, which Harold is starting in P6. Not sure exactly what happened there, but it's going to be quite the interesting race start, I believe.
It's going to be very interesting. Actually, some of the drivers did it, put in last minute laps, and said actually took second place away from Nishka, and Daza actually is up and now into P4. And looking now here at your lineup to start the Grand Prix, you have Tinzo, who claims pole position, said in P2, Nishka P3, Daza 4, Dilby 5, Harold 6, Ngai 7, Wilco 8, Bookie in 9, Mr. Koopa in 10th, and then you have Rare Ghost in 11th, Gianni 12th, and then Suspension in 13th. Yeah, and with only 13 drivers, this still feels relatively close, and especially at the front of the grid, it seems that a lot of these drivers, in terms of qualifying pace, are really, really close. I think, like what you said, I'm curious to see if these drivers are also going to be as close and consistent in the race. So I'm really, and I think that this race start is going to be probably the most important thing, especially for what you were talking about with Harold. Harold being in P6, he's in the mix of everything. So if he wants to get back in to continue to improve on his lead, he has to get a good start here.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, this is going to be quite interesting to see the strategies play out as I think in Div 1, I think we had a kind of a mix up and down the grid of people on soft tires, on medium tires, on hard tires. It's honestly quite an interesting thing. And the thing I'm curious about is the weather, as it seems that it's going to be dry, clear running all race, but as we know, that does tend to change at any given moment. So if wet weather does come into play, then it's going to be quite situational, I believe.
Yeah, I do agree with there. And actually, funny enough, in Division 1, I think all of qualifying, it looked so I would say like it looked marginal. I mean, the clouds looked really ominous. I was really wondering if it was going to rain, but it ended up not raining. So I wouldn't necessarily be shocked if it's going to be a dry race, but just like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if it rains either, because who knows what's going to happen in any of this chaos. But with all the drivers getting set up, I think we're probably going to see a repeat where I could see a lot of the drivers starting on the mediums to not necessarily get them out of the way, but you know that they're going to wear pretty quickly. So I can imagine that they'll probably start on the mediums and then maybe switch over to the hards. I think I'm more curious about what your point was, where I'm kind of curious to see which of the drivers are going to try and take the risk and go for that one stop.
I mean, honestly, I feel that the one stop could be doable, but it would honestly, it takes a driver who's got the skill and consistency to pull it off. And honestly, I feel like a driver probably closer to the back of the grid is probably where we probably see that one stop to try and, as a way to try and pull themselves further up the grid. Although it could hurt them later in the race, but again, tire management. And I mean, the medium tires felt quite good, honestly, if I do say so myself, even after, 10 and 12, 13 laps on them. So, I mean, you could probably take the medium tire close to half distance and then let the hards do the work the rest of the way. But again, driver consistency comes into play. Can you manage your tires? Can you stay out of the dirty air and not ride in it too long to not damage your tires? So there's a lot of different factors that, kind of play into that being possible, but it'll be interesting to see if something does.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. And I mean, if anything, I would put my if someone is going to try that, I would put my money behind Nishka, because we've already seen him this year pull off multiple one stops. So, I mean, if there was anyone that, if I was going to go on to Kalshi right now and put down a bet on who's going to be able to pull out the one stop, it's 100% going to be Nishka, because he's done it so many times. And I think that that is actually going to help him here, especially at a track like Spain that can really just, it's just brutal for your tires. But we'll have to see. I did see your call that the drivers are going to go ahead and ready up, and they are ready and rearing to go here in 5 lights time, and we are underway here in the Spanish Grand Prix. And it looked like Tinzo got a good start. It looked like Dilby didn't. Harold got the start that he wanted. Tinzo and Seth are going to race down into turn 1. Tinzo's going to go, and now there's an accident. Martin, I think that's Harold. Cut the first corner, and that's going to keep him still in P5 right there. Mr. Kupo actually will bounce up into P6 through the incidents. Dilby is the biggest loser through all of that. We do have a caution, but I believe that was a spin from suspension, but it's a green flag, and already we're seeing very close racing. Oh, now maybe a little bit of a moment there from Nishka. A good job by Nishka to keep it on track, as that was, oof. That's where you see, that's a turn where you see things go wrong, but he was able to keep it up. And surprisingly, this is a very interesting split. A lot of the top drivers opted to take the mediums, but a majority of the grid actually started on the softs. I think that is the most interesting division that I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in an F1 race.
Absolutely. And I think I might have been muted for that entire little thing just now. But um, so suspension seems to sustain a bit of damage as he's going to be in the pit for a new front wing. And at the start, Harold actually went up the in, tried to go up the inside of the Ferrari to try and gain a position. And they kind of had a little bit of wheel touch, which actually sent Harold wide in grass cutting the first corner. So I'm pretty sure he just thought it best to just give the position back and not have to deal with the stewards. So, I mean, it's good to see that, he's keeping it going. There wasn't any damage sustained off of it. But, I mean, we're off to a clean start. And these guys starting, about half the grid on the medium tire, a couple on the hard tire, and then the rest on softs. It's going to be quite the interesting day, which means those guys on the soft tire, they're definitely already committing to the two stop because that soft tire tends to fall off around about 6 or 7 laps. That soft tire tends to just be now just rubber to keep the car rolling at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see if that two stop does outdo should you have Wilco or Bookie on the hard tire pull go for the one stop, will it pay off?
Yeah, and I actually could imagine that some of these top drivers are going to try that. And but I will say I'm actually kind of shocked to see kind of this split that's happened. I think for almost roughly the entire like first maybe 10 laps in the Division 1 race, everyone was still side by side in a DRS train. Here, though, in Division 2, we're seeing a bigger split between the drivers. You can see that Ced is slowly chasing down. Actually, he does get back into DRS range, but Ced and Tinzo are basically off on their own battle. But then behind him, you have Nishka, Daza, and Harold, and then even behind them, you have another group. So very split so far early in this race. I believe you're muted again.
Yep, sorry about that. Dilby actually had a little bit of a uh-oh coming into the start of sector 3 on the first right-hander before you hit the fast two right-handers and saved it, but it kind of cost him 2 positions. Actually, cost him about 4 positions there as he's now in the fight and trying to fight his way back up in the Red Bull.
Yeah, and I mean anything like that, like a spin or a moment can definitely absolutely cost you positions. And I think Dilby is probably the biggest loser so far in this race because he had a good start or a good starting position. I don't think he had a great start off the line. So that kind of already put him at a disadvantage. So that just didn't really help him. But he is still going. And I think crucially, he just doesn't have any damage. And I think that's probably the most important thing. As now Ced has actually closed down the gap to the leader here as he's trying to chase down Tinzo. And I'm curious to see how this is going to go. I mean, Ced has basically a full charge battery with DRS, as now he's going to chase him down. And it looks like it's just going to be a clean pass, and it is. And we have our first lead change of the race as Ced will go around Tinzo and retake the lead, or take the lead.
Absolutely, and I mean that was pretty clean and standard, overtake. Honestly, he waited for the right time to do it. The long main straight in Barcelona tends to be a key spot where people tend to want to go for the overtake, but it also comes down to being able to harvest and manage your battery level over the entire lap to actually get around and get to that point. And Harold seems to have had an issue as he left the session. We need to get him an invite ASAP. Um, but I mean, it's kind of a which it's honestly, I'm seeing a lot of more so like I was saying, Div2 they can either go aggressive or they can be conservative, And right now, it looks like they're
Ooh.
being pretty conservative in their drivings as Gianni a spot on Rare Ghost into P5, and he's so far gained 7 positions since the race started. And as we know, Gianni started at the back with a race ban, so that's actually going to do him a solid and really help him out.
And actually, the reason why there was a moment that Rare Ghost and Gianni both overtook and gained positions. Harold, I believe right now, is actually an AI. That I did not see a message that he had either paused the game or if he left. But other than that,
Yeah,
Harold either had a
something.
moment or something's going on. So Harold actually is now down to P9. So, I mean, we talked about at the beginning of the race, we said that if something happens to Harold, this is the opportunity for these top three right here. And it looks like something is absolutely has happened.
Absolutely. And I mean, Harold, I think it might have been a connection issue or something to that effect. As we know, PlayStation has their own fair share of issues, so we're missing drivers from there today. And it flashed on my screen, Harold left the session, so I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but sent him another invite to try and help him, be able to get back, in this race and continue on and try to, salvage what points he can on his in this, in his push to try and seal the deal in the Division 2 title fight.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I mean, we can see, yeah, we can keep sending him invites and make sure that he gets an opportunity to come back. And actually, so far here at the front, it's still basically a close battle. Tenzo has still been within DRS range of Said, and he's been slowly chasing him down as Nishka has been holding his own ahead of Daza, as basically we have two separate battles here in the top fight. And I'm curious to see how these battles will develop, and especially now with as we approach soon here, lap 8, that we'll see a lot of these tires start to feel the wear. I think mediums, you'll begin to at least feel somewhat of a difference, but especially with the softs, that the softs are probably really starting to get or the softs are probably not really that happy. So I'm curious to see when these drivers who started on the softs are going to pit.
Gotcha. All right, so Harold, he's actually waiting on his system to reconnect, so it's
Hmm.
gonna be a minute. However, he does have an invite waiting on. So it seems like EA is up to their shenanigans as John DT has
Oh,
joined. So it seems like the PlayStation issues have now been resolved, as one of the PlayStation guys has joined the session, although he won't be able to participate in the race. It's good to see that that issue has now been resolved, which I'm hoping going forward, PlayStation kind of gets their shenanigans together on that front.
yeah, which I mean, you absolutely can't blame the drivers. I mean, the drivers were doing their absolute best to try and get into here, but PlayStation shenanigans said otherwise. But at least he was able to join, so that did maybe show that the issues, like you said, were resolved. And hopefully, I think for all of our sakes, we hope that it doesn't really happen, or at least if it happens, it doesn't happen on a Rush Racing Grand Prix.
Absolutely. And I'm looking right now, and the gap that Nishka was behind on Tenzo and Said is actually slowly starting to close. So maybe Nishka's pushing a little bit more with Daza right behind him, and he's trying to, keep the position, or it's possible that Said and Tenzo have actually pushed their tires a little bit harder than Nishka has, so he's now, taking advantage of that extra bit of tire life that he may have been managing and saving. So it's going to be a bit. We may see an actual fight of maybe 3 to 4 cars here for the lead in a few laps time.
Yeah, I think we could actually, as you're saying that, they are actually closing the gap. So there is a possibility they are maybe backing off, but at the same time, Said has actually increased his gap out of DRS range away from Tinzo. So maybe, like you said, that's going to provide a little bit of a fight there between those three cars. And actually, as you were talking, Harold was able to rejoin, so I do believe that he is back in the race. And yes, his car is unghosted, so Harold is back in the race. I'm curious to see what he's going to be able to do now that he's back in the seat, and hopefully his connection will be good and stable as we enter here into lap 10.
Absolutely. And on the previous lap, Nishka and Daza both were in the 17-1s. And while Tenzo and Said were actually in the mid to high 17s. So, I mean, Nishka's actually been playing the management game here. Maybe he possibly does feel the one stop is viable but however, Gianni and Rare Ghost have both gone into the pits for their first stops. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for them. As we know, the undercut is powerful, and around Spain, of all tracks where the deg is a bit higher, especially on that left side, the undercut can really bring you into a position where you can really be a threat to be able to cause some damage, honestly, in a race. And so it's going to be interesting to see what those two do going forward.
Yeah, and actually, I am also curious because I mean, you also got to take into account that you have two drivers who did start on the hards, so already they're probably going to be out on the track longer than any of the drivers on the softs. So, I mean, that could also start to bring them into contention. And actually, now Nishka has actually broken DRS range away from Daza and is now just about at the 2-second mark away from Tinzo. So, the gaps are increasing, decreasing, and actually there we go, we see two drivers go ahead and go into the pits. Guy and Mr. Cooper will go ahead into the pits. So the last driver on the softs that is not pit yet is Dilby in the other Red Bull. You may still be muted.
There we go. There we go. So it seems like if I had to guess, they'll be probably looking to maybe either he figures let's not do the double stack as the game to glitch with that, or he's probably trying to extend a bit with those soft tires not and possibly have tires in
Oh,
better condition for the later stages of this race.
actually, I think you were correct because Nishka actually peeled into the pits now. So I actually wonder if they are trying to not double stack or they're trying to make sure not to. So, and actually, Nishka goes on to the hard compound. So maybe interesting. And just like that, Dilby goes into the pits as well. So I think that should go down as like you perfectly predicted that.
Absolutely. And one thing to take note is that you've got the Ferrari of Wilco and the race rookie that are both up to P4 and P5 on the hard tire with 11 laps on them. So they're still pushing quite well. So I mean they're kind of pulling themselves into a position here, but Nick on fresh hard tires is probably not going to have any of that, and probably looking to get those tires fired up as quick as he can and catch these guys up.
Yeah, and actually silently in the background, Harold actually has made up a couple spots that he is now up into P10, and he's made up a couple spots back up the grid. And so now Nishka was the first one to switch off of the mediums onto the hard compound. So I'm kind of curious to see when some of these other drivers are going to go into the pits, as both said Tinzo and Daza are all on 12 lap old medium tires. Kind of curious to see when they're gonna pit. I guess it is kind of in their court, as it were, that they kind of have an option of when they want to pit based off of how their tires are feeling.
Absolutely. And I mean, honestly, the two of them are still doing pretty consistent lap times in the mid 17. So they're still doing relatively good mid lap times, but the problem is the longer that they go to extend the medium tire, it's giving Nishka more time to get those hard tires fired up and really get rolling.
I'm joining y'all. My PlayStation now decided to work. So I guess I'm commentating this race too.
Well, welcome in. I did see that. Also, John DT also joined in. Apologies that the PlayStation was not working to begin with. So
Eh,
far, I'm still curious. Still 13 laps now on the medium tires for Said, Tinzo, and Daza. So maybe they're trying the one stop, but I feel like maybe Nishka pitted too early. I'm starting to wonder.
the best time to truly pit with the mediums if you're going for the one stop is around that 15 or 16. If I'm being completely honest, because then, yes, the mediums will be worn, but that gives you enough like laps to where you can wear out the hards.
You might be muted, Wildcat, again.
Yeah, Wildcat, you're muted.
I was had to take care of something right quick. So honestly, you're right on spot, honestly, Verstappen. And I mean, at this point, as you see, Michigan's already overtook Bookie and is already in the DRS of Wilco and looking to do the same to him. And again, the longer that Tenzo and Sed stay out on those mediums, they're giving Mister that time to really pull off the undercut on them. Now the question will be is Mister's tire management, will he be able to carry those hard to be able to keep the pace up and also possibly gain a gap so that way, when they come out of the pit, he actually successfully pulls off the undercut. As suspension now incurs a 3 second time
Oh,
penalty for track limits.
with the penalties he already got from last race is he's gonna have like didn't he have like a 10-second already? I'm pretty sure. Uh he had a 15 actually. So that's 28 seconds there. He is in dead last. Honestly, I think he's just given up. He's realized that he is not
Ooh.
gonna be able to take it. So I guess he's just kind of racing to race. Honestly,
I mean, at this point, it could be. I mean, there's a lot of it's 15 seconds in itself is honestly a lot for any driver. It doesn't matter who you are, real life or in
yeah,
sim racing. 15 seconds is it's well it may as well be a country mile on foot. So I mean,
yeah,
at the point, just kind of run the race, get the penalties off you, and then as we know, we have next week off, and then come back the next couple of rounds and just kind of put your best foot forward, reset, refreshed, and just be ready to go again.
yeah. And honestly, it bums me out I don't get to race because I've learned how to race without like ABS, so I gained like a good like second on every track. And so I could have honestly taken like seventh or sixth or eighth today. I truly could have.
And now we see Nishka has actually pulled into P2 as Tenzo dove into the pits to change out his tires for the hard tire now. So Sed's still charging on those mediums. He's probably going to be thinking about coming in here in short order to actually be able to get rid of those tires and make it as he
Yeah,
does come into the pits now.
yeah, no. It's truly about 15 to 16 laps that you start to be like, okay, I need to pit for some hards and then I'm good for the one stop.
And actually, as you say that, he actually goes into the pits now. So Nishka will go up into the lead. And actually, I was going to point out too that Harold actually pitted before all of them. That he we're still kind of keeping eyes on him. Actually, Tinza's going to go ahead and make the move around Wilco, and actually Tenzo's going to be racing Sed immediately out of pit road, so it does benefit Sed that Sed is now still in second place after that pit stop. But we're keeping eyes on Harold because he's basically on the same plan as the front runners, so there could be a potential that he could actually go all the way to the end without stopping, and thereby he could gain a lot of positions. And I'm curious to see if that is what the plan is, because more than likely, if that is what the plan is, we could see a four-way race for the lead between Nishka, Sed, Tenzo, and Daza, who were all possibly on that one-stop strategy.
Yeah, they really could.
Oh yeah.
And suspension has said he is done. He can't come back.
And he will retire in the pit lane, and that won't trigger a safety car, as Nishka will lead his first lap. And actually, Tenzo actually has now gotten into DRS range behind Sed. So maybe Tenzo has a little bit more pace on the hard tires as he's trying to catch up. Wilco, actually in the Ferrari, will go ahead and do his first pit stop off of those hard tires, and he will put on a set of mediums. And you know what's really funny is that Bookie is actually still he's just vibing right now. He's got 17 laps on those hard tires, and he is just vibing right now, just going around the track.
As I'm looking at the track, as you were saying earlier, while I was watching the stream, while I waited for my PlayStation to say, okay, I'll work now. It's like there's groups. Like I can see the groups of the Haas and Wilco are in a group, and then we got that's an Alpine and Mercedes in a group, and then we have the Aston Martin and also like Ferrari in a group. Like it's grouped up, and then we have the three in front in a group. It's honestly all entertaining whichever way you look.
Absolutely, and I mean at this point, I mean, I was just kind of looking at the in the Discord here, and John DT was expressing a bit of his frustration with PlayStation about how now it's back up when it's like you guys don't even have a chance to even get on track, which I do feel I you know, not that I've had that problem, but it is a bit of a frustrating one that does tend to rub you the wrong.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm glad it's back up because I have 2 other races today.
Oof, you got a busy day.
Oh yeah, Saturdays are busy for me. In my race league, I am having a race, and then in another race league I'm in has a race in this race league. It's like a different thing, and then I got one on Monday. But it's all fun, honestly. I like it. Helps me get faster too. Where I'm in here, everyone's faster than me, basically. It kind of helps me learn more, helps me get faster.
Actually, we're about to have an interesting battle. Sorry, Wildcat. Actually, now Sed and Tenzo are both in DRS range. And Nishka actually weaving. I don't know if he's gonna send it. Sed chose not to. I think he thought about it, but he chose not to. And actually, Daza will go ahead and pass Gianni as well. So now we have that. Those 4 main drivers now are all back up to the front. I apologize, Wildcat.
It looks
all good. All good.
Yeah, no, it looks like Gianni is starting to feel those mediums start to go away from him. Honestly, it seems like. And I was looking, and I'm like, wait, is that like the new Ferrari livery or something? I was looking, I'm like, huh? That Daza has on. Because I was looking, I'm like, that's similar almost to the one that we have in the actual 2026 season. Did they send out a livery in the game or something?
I believe that they came out with one earlier that was like the Monza edition. I believe that it's the Monza livery from the 2025 season that came out. And
Yeah,
actually,
it was the Nicky Lauda tribute livery that Ferrari did
Uh,
in Monza last season, and it's actually the livery that Meraki Don pretty much it from the moment that they put that livery out through the elimination mode for it to be earned, Meraki Don actually donned that livery pretty much the rest of the season in the Ferrari. So I mean, it's kind of it's a classy livery, honestly. It's a little bit tasty. Granted, Ferrari this season now, as we see in 2026, have they kind of pulled a little bit of that livery into this year's car, which is actually I can honestly I kind of like it.
yeah, I really truly do. And honestly, the same thing with the Williams, the new livery that just came out. I was honestly liking that the most out of all of the liveries they've had. It's honestly like it's clean. All the colors aren't just one single color and looks like a darn battery. It actually looks like cool. It looks more modern, more good looking.
Absolutely, I will say one of my favorite liveries that Williams has done
ooh,
was last year in Las Vegas. The black livery that Williams did, it
Ooh,
honestly caught me very off guard, but I
oh
liked
yeah,
the design of that livery. It was very not
clean.
Williams. It was
Yeah, it
something
was.
different that we haven't
oh,
seen from Williams.
oh my word! I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I think Nishka just channeled his inner Sergio Perez because he followed the rules. He weaved to break the slipstream. He came back to the racing line and almost chopped off Tenzo's front wing. That Nishka does remain in P2. He is outside of DRS range, in which Tenzo is slowly catching. But man, there couldn't have been more than a couple inches, and a couple inches more, and Nishka could have been in the wall, and Tenzo would be missing his front wing. And that was, whew, that was my reaction.
yeah. I went and saw that. Yeah, and Vergos has a penalty for what? What kind of penalty is the question? 3 seconds. It looks like he is doing just fine with Bookie 7 seconds behind him though. But Vergos will have to pit.
Yeah, those medium tires are probably not helping him at all. And actually, that is something that I will point out is that not only for Division 1, but here even in Division 2, so far, very clean racing. No safety cars have been called yet. And once again, oh my word, Tenzo and Nishka weaving back and forth, battling each other. I don't know, one of these corners, I'm just half expecting them to just crash with how much they're weaving. But
I was thinking that. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
but like I said, so far, not many penalties, no safety cars. Since we saw the chaotic race in Baku, it seems like the drivers have actually done a great job at racing cleaner.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
for
And I mean,
my
at
bad.
this point, I mean, Tenzo, oh, you're good. You're good. Tenzo, just a little bit of a note. Tenzo's been working those hards a lot more the longer he's been stuck behind Nishka, which, as we know, he did have quite the tire delta to Nishka. He had about a 4 lap tire delta to Nishka. So, and at this point, staying behind him and Nishka offering up such a good defense of the position, it's kind of not helping Tenzo's case to try and get back close to said, as that gap tends to open and then close right back. So, I mean, Nishka may possibly be trying to play a game of, I'm gonna, defend you, force you to make mistakes and lock up your tires, cook those tires, make you want to have to pit again so that way I can pit again, knowing that he could possibly keep the position and come right back out and still come home P2.
That's honestly really smart. And also, as I was saying earlier, at the start, we saw like a lot of people on the softs. Apparently, the game kind of didn't listen to them whenever they made a strategy. They just kind of said, okay, start on softs. Most people were trying to start on mediums or hards. And I know Koopa He was gonna go for the one stop, but where it started him on softs, he couldn't really do that.
Yeah, and I mean the softs really hurt. Actually, there's a caution in sector 2.
Oh,
I believe it had to do with Bookie, but the caution is cleared up, so no safety car is needed. And yeah, maybe the softs are not agreeing. He goes way wide through that turn, trying to maybe just hold on, but still so far I'm curious to see how the rest of these last few laps are going to play out. Daza is still well ahead of his teammate as he's in 4th place, but Tinzo and Nishka still fighting tooth and nail, and Said right now has by far cleared out a gap ahead of both of them. And I think this is definitely something that he needed, because Said was so dominant in the first part of the season here in Division 2, but just because of recent events where he wasn't in the Division 2 races, that kind of just allowed Harold to just get that huge gap lead that he wanted in the standings. So I mean, this is probably the best race possible that Said would want to get himself back into maybe a championship conversation. And if you're Tinzo, you're probably very angry right now, because you probably feel like you deserve 2nd place, but you have Nishka in front of you, which, I mean, he might as well be Sergio Perez, because that's how he's driving right now.
yeah, I fully agree on that. Tenzo's probably thinking he deserves 2nd, but as we can tell, Nishko's not making it easy for him.
And actually, I will say, though, you could say that Harold is slowly making up positions, as now he is into P7, as I think he is also trying to go for the one stop, more than likely. So I'm curious to see if he could maybe even end up in a top 5 next to his teammate, but still kind of up in the air as we are closing down, as the drivers will start lap 27 out of 33 here. And I mean, once again, I've just been watching this battle between Tinzo and Nishka. It's just every single time Tinzo will get close, but just not close enough to be able to make the DRS and battery matter.
Honestly,
Oh, absolutely.
looking at
Just looking here, Kenzo has been draining his battery. Basically, on every corner exit, he's on the button trying to keep the gap to Nisha to try and offset the amount of damage that his tires are taking from being stuck in the dirty air and fighting so hard. Whereas Nishka through Sector 2 has been playing it very smart and stocking up his battery and barely using it, so that way when they do come down the main straight, he's able to just full send on the battery with everything that he's got to actually keep the gap so Tenzo can't even get close. And it's just been lap after lap, that same rinse and repeat. So Nishka's actually playing a very, very smart hand here.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this is all going to balance, because actually, because of the battle that is happening right now, it's actually brought Daza closer. A couple laps ago, Daza was roughly 5 or so seconds behind Tinzo. Now that gap has closed down to 3.8. So roughly in 2 laps, over a second has been caught up. So the longer that Nishka and Tinzo fight, there is actually a possibility that even Daza could end up becoming part of that fight as well.
And as I was looking at the tire stuff, honestly, Gianni going from soft, medium to soft didn't do him bad, actually, because he's up in the top 5. He's actually doing pretty well for starting on softs and then going on to mediums, then going back onto softs. I wonder if he's going to pit again, but I don't think he will. With only just a few laps left, 5 laps left, it looks like. He probably won't be pitting again, but that's honestly pretty well done by him.
Absolutely. And Harold right now in P7 is just about 2.5 seconds away from booking. And I mean, I can honestly say, even despite the issue that he had, it's been quite the drive for him to come back from being virtually at the back of the pass after his little connection issue. And if he could capture P6, that's going to be a good solid finish for Austin Martin, honestly, today, and a good, good points going for them in the constructors, as well as damage limitation for Harold in the driver's side of things.
Yeah, and I mean, if for Harold, the one thing that he wants to absolutely do is to continue to extend his current lead over the driver's standings. And I mean, the constructor standings is a part of that as well. And I mean, every position he gets helps with that. And it's going to be curious to see necessarily where exactly he finishes, because realistically, if said wins, that does actually help him dramatically. And basically him and Nishka would be also would be favorites to win the championship. So I mean, really, this is round 7 out of 12, but it still feels like every single race just matters so much.
Yeah, I truly do agree with that.
Oh, and now we have caution sector 2, and a safety car is deployed. We did not see a car spun. I'm not entirely sure. I did not catch the incident, but a safety car is deployed, and I can imagine, actually, I would be curious to see how many of these drivers are going to peel into the pits. And now everything is going to get interesting.
Yeah, no, I saw it. It was with the Mercedes and Alpine, because the Mercedes now has no wing.
And actually, now you can see basically everyone peeled into the pits. I think there was only one driver who didn't. I think that was Dilby in the Red Bull. And I'm curious now to see if the leaders are going to pit, because now here comes Sed through sector 3, and this is where the most interesting part is going to be. Is he going to peel in for a pair of softs? And he will. So it looks like maybe that's what the leaders are going to do, and we're going to have a shootout to the end.
Wow. What
Correct, you are in this. I would say 3 lap or social incoming. Prepare for chaos, but at this point, by the time they come back out and the safety car restarts, they, I hate to say this, but they're probably only gonna get one racing lap.
Oh yeah,
And honestly, even they may not even get that one racing lap. This race may have actually, the timing of that safety car, we may see this race actually finish under safety car, which I'm sure Nishka's going to be happy about. But Tenzo, on the other hand, is going to be quite frustrated that he wasn't able to buy Nishka. So that's going to be quite the interesting situation as Dilby and M Guy decide to stay out, which gained them a couple positions, and Harold pit for softs, which dropped him down to P9. So it's gonna be quite the interesting situation here. And Gianni also pit for mediums as well to get off tires.
this honestly, with Wilco being in P10 or P9 now, that honestly helps Koopa's case on getting into the top 10, because he does already have a penalty before the race, and then now he also has a 3-second on top of that. That honestly puts him in a pretty bad place, because he has a 10-second penalty. And race!
Safety car is in this lap. So with only the top 4 behind the safety car currently, Sed will take control, and we're about to have basically a 2-lap sprint to the end as we have Said, Nishka, Tinzo, and Daza right behind each other. And actually, you can't count Gianni out. Gianni right behind, as Dilby will get a 3-second time penalty. And now they'll decide to go. And it looks like Said got the absolute best launch he could. Nishka was not ready for it. And that means Tinzo and Daza are going to be right behind. There is no DRS, so I'm curious to see if what they're going to do. It looks like Daza is right on the back of Tinzo. Is he going to go for the move? And he chose not to. He will remain behind, as now Nishka slowly actually got that lead back as he remains in DRS range.
Honestly, with that, that's almost like a reminder of the 2021 Abu Dhabi almost, kind of, with the safety car going in that lap. Holy.
Absolutely. And I
That
mean, and you were saying about 2021, it's also a Mercedes was leading and a Red Bull following. Now, the
I
thing to take
know.
note of is Ted actually, while he may have pulled the absolute best restart, he got Miska, who is sitting there carefully plotting, trying to get close, and probably going to utilize the long front straightaway to go for the most Hail Mary of moves at this point to maybe try and get the lead.
Yeah, this is exactly almost out of the 2021 book.
Oh, and Nishka actually sets the fastest lap, so he is chasing down Said. He's got right there. Daza behind actually is going to go to the inside of Tinzo. Is he going to make the move stick? He does. So Daza in the Ferrari will move up ahead of Tinzo, who is still right behind them, and they will keep fighting. Harold actually steals the fastest lap back away. So I agree. I think this is turning into just an absolute Hail Mary opportunity, but I mean, Nishka's only going to get one DRS opportunity here coming through Sector 2. He's going to have it, but it's really going to come down to the battery situation. They have about the same amount of battery charge, and it's going to come down to maybe this last straight if Seth can hold it, and it looks like he is right now. Going around the last turns, if they're going to be able to hold it. You can see that Nishka is absolutely pushing that Red Bull to its limit, and there is a caution I see there. Yeah, Mr. Koopa will spin, but it won't matter as it's a Mercedes top the podium. Nishka will follow. Daza will claim P3, Tinzo P4, Gianni P5. We do not have a repeat of Saudi Arabia 2021, as this time the Mercedes is on top, and Said will win the race and improve his chances in the Drivers' Championships. Bookie will move up into P6, Dalby P7, Harold will come across the line in P8 for, I believe, his lowest finish of the season so far to date. Wilco will come home in P9. With behind him will be Rare Ghost in P10. We'll see where the penalties will stack up as Mr. Koopa and Ngai will race to the end, and that will do it here for the Spanish Grand Prix. What an ending!
I know. And Koopa is just right out of the points, too. I do feel bad for him, where the game kind of messed him up and messed a few other people up.
I believe that you are still muted, Wildcat, but yeah, Wildcat, that was insane. I think that's probably the most entertaining finish to date so far.
Absolutely. That was quite the spectacular finish, honestly. And I mean, that was two drivers putting it all out on the line, absolutely stretching their legs for everything they got, showing that they, at the end of the day, actually had the fastest pace over the rest of the grid. Aside from Harold, who kind of got hard done by with connection issue, but does walk away with the fastest lap, and his teammate driver of the day, Wilco, having the most overtakes, and your race winner said.
I do have to go, but what a race.
All good, Antonelli. I appreciate your help. We can see we do have Nishka in here for the interview currently. We can see if we get Said. I don't think Said does interviews And we can also see if we can get Daza in here as well. And I guess while we wait for the others to see if they want to be in the interview, Nishka, how are you feeling after that insane ending?
Yeah, I feel alright. I feel like it pretty much ended how it was gonna end anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting that Tinzo went on to the medium, so with only 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and I mean, I do believe he might have ran out of soft tires. I'm not confirming that, but I do wonder if that is why. But I mean, we almost had a repeat of Abu Dhabi 2021 where a Red Bull in second place overtook Mercedes in first place. We didn't perfectly get that, but we still got you in second place at least. And with Harold finishing in 8th, that means that you and Sed have dramatically increased your chances and have absolutely basically took your spot back in the mix of the Drivers' Championship. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, pretty good. I knew we needed to try and close the gap on Harold. When my teammate was starting in front of him on the grid, it was kind of I'll try and keep him behind you as long as you can, because we need to try and make some space. He's got some really good pace. Setters tonight, he was late. He was on another level. He was too quick. I wasn't going to beat Setters, and he caught me napping on that safety car restart. So he done fantastic. And yeah, Daz, I believe Dazza. I'm not too sure. I've only raced him a couple of times now, but it was a good drive from him to get onto the podium.
Yeah, it was a absolutely fantastic finish. And I mean, I just got to say that, like, from your perspective, that we don't have Tinzo in here, that you were defending against for the longest time. I mean, how did you feel? I mean, it was at least maybe an 11 lap, 12 lap battle where it was just Tinzo permanently behind you, always trying to chase you down. I mean, like, does that put a lot of pressure on you, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, like it kind of, it was a bit of pressure to start with, because it's a bit of the unknown. You don't know what's gonna happen. But once I quickly worked out that I could just sort of let setters go, just back Tinzo up behind me through sector 1 and 2 and the end of 3, and then just like pretty much battery dump down the straight. Like he wasn't gonna get past me as long as I had that 4, 5, 10 out of the last corner. He wasn't gonna get me. Once I worked that out, it came pretty clear what to do. But we had to make that call. I made a lot of mistakes early in the race, probably first couple of laps, and it cost me 2-3 seconds, and I was never gonna catch those guys. So I had to change it up and go for the early pit stop and try and undercut them, which I managed to do, and then I was able to keep Tinzo behind. That was sort of the plan.
Well, definitely that plan, I would definitely say, almost worked out to perfection. You say it worked out to perfection if you ended up winning the race, but it was still absolutely a fantastic race to watch, and I can't wait to see how this is all going to go with more of you guys getting into the mix for the Drivers' Championship. Before I let you go, is there anyone that you would like to give credit to or shout out here for the stream?
Yeah, I'll just like to thank Engineer Mars. He did a fantastic job for this race. He was really on point in making that call for me to box early. Really helped me. I probably, if he didn't make that call, I would have been settled for P3, I think. So yeah, that was massive from him. And yeah, and then obviously, my teammate stepping in tonight for SJ, who wasn't able to race tonight. Yeah, putting it P7 as well, getting some good points for us for our constructors fight in Div2. So big thanks for him, and obviously my TP Wildcat.
Well, I can't wait to see how the rest of the season is going to go for you here in Div 2, but I'll let you go as we go ahead and wrap up the stream, and congratulations on the podium.
Thanks very much, boys, and thanks for the comps.
Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the stream as, I mean, both Division 1 and Division 2, absolutely chaotic. I mean, it was chaotic in its own sense. Still kind of salty that PlayStation decided not to work and we couldn't get the other drivers in, but it was still an entertaining finish to the end and definitely made the season much more interesting. I mean, do you have any final thoughts, Wildcat? I feel like I don't know. I'm still mentally processing the battle that we just witnessed and some of the other stuff. I mean, what do you think, Wildcat?
I mean, honestly, if it goes to show anything, it's never done until it's done. And I mean, as we saw, Zed and Nishka both brought home 25 and 20 points respectively between each one of them. So I mean, they brought home great points that surely is going to help close the gap to Harold. And I mean, although Harold did, limit the damage as much as possible, I mean, that kind of, it gives him a little bit of time to kind of reset and kind of, figure out new strategy on how he's going to actually hold on to the lead in the title fight at this point. Because when you've got these guys who are actually pulling off wins and you're not just, in the top 3 all season, this is where you actually see what champions are made of. So Harold's got work to do. Nishka, Thed, Tenzo, these guys are all putting in the work. So, and they're hungry. So he's got quite the job ahead of him to try and 5 rounds remaining. This was the start of the second half of the season now. So forget where we're going next. Isn't it Spa, if I remember right?
I will go ahead and double check real quick. Make sure that I have that right as well. Our next race actually will be April 4th, and we are actually heading to Circuit of the Americas next. So actually kind of in the same ballpark as Spain, kind of a high downforce type track. So there's a chance we could see maybe a little bit of a repeat of what we saw here in Spain. So I'm kind of interested to see how that will turn out then.
Yes. Back to North America we go. So we're leaving Europe, back across the pond, going back home, and it's gonna be quite interesting. As we know, Coda is one of those tracks that a lot of drivers have honestly hailed as a driver favorite. And you look at Sector 1, which is in the S's, which is modeled after Maggots and Beckett's. And then you got Sector 3 with the carousel, which I think may have been which I mean, I feel like that sector actually kind of inspired the carousel sector of Sochi in Russia. So, I mean, great sectors for racing, good side-by-side racing. You got the long straight down the back for DRS, and then DRS up the main straight with a tough braking zone uphill into turn 1. Coda's it's gonna be an exciting race to watch, and I feel like between Div 1 and Div 2, it won't disappoint.
I absolutely agree with everything you said. It will definitely be a spectacle to watch. But to go ahead and go over to there, we got to wrap this up here. Thank you guys all so much for watching both Division 1 and Division 2 of North America and EU Rush Racing. Thank you guys for all of your love and support. And I mean, we couldn't do this without you guys. We really appreciate all the love and support from the drivers, from Rush Racing in general, and to also our sponsors, Sim Racing Center, Sim Lab, Pagnian, and AI369. We hope you guys enjoyed this presentation of Rush Racing North America and Europe. We will check you guys out here on April 4th for the United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. We hope you guys have a great day, a great night, wherever you guys are watching from in the world, and we hope to see you at the next race.